Yeah, and of course, now you are saying Dark Mago, you're probably going to be this, or probably laning versus this Lena. I think Angel's actually played the Leshrac once or twice before.
Mhm.
We'll really have to see. It doesn't feel like Leshrac is the Angel hero, though, with how the telegraphed usually his heroes are. But Rubik Mars, like you said, already a very good Rubik game. You're going to be able to look towards that Ravage, look towards any of Lena's spells, to be honest. Even the Pango roll, which is albeit very difficult to steal. You have to really get him the moment that he commits that Rolling Thunder. Otherwise, you're just going to steal Shield Crash. But stealing Shield Crash isn't really that bad, especially in the buy-to-buy. If you're just looking to farm a little bit, Rubik can definitely get really big, and a really big Rubik is definitely very scary. But all the way at the end of second phase, seeing this Clinks hero picked up, that's a really late Clinks, but everything we've already talked about Clinks today is still true when you pick him this late in the game. There's no Sven on the opposing seed either, so it does feel like right now all the A-listers aren't there to contest this Clinks now, so I wonder what they're going to choose for our boy Angel's hero.
Yeah, now I like that Clinks pick for the D2 Hustler side. We did see uh, some mixed results with it in the previous series, but it's going to give you that damage dealer, and it gives them something to go into the late game as well, especially if this Lina does end up being that mid hero. If you have, say, Yuma on the Clinks, Mr. Jeans on the Lina, and we get into that sort of 30, 35-minute plus mark, those two heroes are going to hit exceptionally hard against a NoPing lineup that is not going to be quite as durable. The Mars will be there. Maybe you've got the Abba for some defensive capabilities, but that could maybe be something that tips in D2 Hustler's favor. Of course, that is all depending on what the play is for Angel here, as you said. That carry pick could sort of turn that on its head, but for now, D2 Hustler is high risk. Clinks and Lena, maybe not the tankiest or most durable heroes in the world, but if they survive, the damage output they bring to the table could very well pay off for D2 Hustler's side.
And I do wonder what D2 Hustlers are going to now single out with their last two bands here, whether or not they are going to be angel heroes, like perhaps the gyrocopter. It's a little bit hard to gauge what they think is going on now because you want to secure this Clinks as much as you can. I like the Morphling band. You'd want to find this Clinks in an advantageous carry matchup. You don't want to find him in a position where the Clinks is now going to need to be afraid of Angel because Angel is 100% going to try to outfarm you. It's just the way that he likes to play his carry. It is going to be a fairly rough lane, I think, for him. Whether or not we will see this Pango or the Lena end up being that 4 position, both of those heroes play around with that gush so nicely. It feels like any hero that Angel's going to end up on, walking into them is going to be pretty sad. You can't really do much versus those heroes except for maybe try to peel off a little bit. I feel like we could be seeing possibly the TA coming out from him. Again, a lot of Angel's heroes weren't really affected by the patch. Could very well be seeing his Luna as well. There are really full options open to him at this point.
That's a bit interesting from the No Ping side. Their final two bans against Kunkka and Storm. So we were talking about this Lena potentially being shifted into a core role. No Ping aren't really buying into that. Or maybe more along the lines of they're trying to force it by taking away some of the other mid options. Either way, eh, it's an interesting move, especially since it takes the Kunkka out of the NoPing hands themselves. That pretty much confirms that the Leshrac is not going to be shifted around to any sort of uh, unconventional position, which we were kind of already assuming to this point. This really should just be Angel's pick for the NoPing side, but kind of solidifying it there on the back end. And now the question is, as you said before, really what do they want? Okay, tried and true. Going for the Luna with the last pick.
Yeah, makes sense. Aim broke, don't fix it. You're going to be laning versus the Tidehunter. We always saw this Luna picked up whenever the Tidehunter was on the field. So now it is really a purely skill-based matchup in what is going to be this top lane. If the Luna can get away with murder a little bit, we see a lot of South American Lunas actually go for that more fight-oriented build. Maybe they're 2-1-2, have a few more levels in beam than some of the absolute farmers of NA. But that's where I think the SA Luna is a little bit more flexible, where you can play both styles if you need to. But Angel never skips a beat. He's always close to 800, 900 GPM. I think a big object of this game now is going to be whether or not you can get this Tidehunter into the Luna stacks. If you can steal those away, you're going to feel a lot more confident. And yeah, they whiff a little bit on the bans here because is this going to be a mid Pango at the end of the day?
Uh,
Looks like it.
hold up. Mr. Jeans actually
Actually,
picked up the
no.
Lena,
Yeah.
and obviously they are sort of playing with some different players than usual, but I don't think I've ever seen Mr. Jeans play anything other than mid, to be fair. So I would assume that that would be him at the mid, and then according to the information we
Udomi
got,
at 4. Yeah.
yeah,
It all slots in.
okay.
And I don't think they're upset with their lanes at all here, because at the end of the day, you get Lena versus Leshrac. You have that punish for when he does want to run at your towers. Seeing the Llama on this Enchantress is going to be pretty interesting. It's a really good hero laning versus the Rubik. Rubik doesn't really provide very much to that lane aside from just damage coming in from that Fade Bolt. Something that Oscar, he can get his own range creeps. So this is going to be a little bit rough of a Rubik game, especially in the early stages on. I wonder if we're going to see him get boots or go for the more stat-oriented null build. It really depends on how he's feeling. If NoPing can block out a lot of device camps, though, if we see a much slower Enchantress, then I think that's the name of NoPing's game right now. Take it slow and steady, fight when we have arena, don't fight when we don't, and then play around our very fast timings, which Dark Mago and Angel are very consistent with.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be coming for those, for the fights, for the objectives. Really just like clockwork to a certain extent. They very rarely, as you said, miss out on those timings in particular. So we'll see how that goes for them, although right now it's going to start with a bit of a pause, as I believe that came out from the NoPing side. So not quite ready to go just yet, but we should be getting things started momentarily, as not sure that there's an issue, might just be some start lag, but we're going to be hopping into it. Who did that? Yuma. Still not sure exactly how he does that. Just the almost automated lines on the minimap. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I've seen it so often, and I'm still not 100% sure how it always gets done like that. But
Yeah, he's just a cool guy, you know? He's got the secrets of Dota. It's the same people that in their shop, when you look at the pinned items, you see the rapiers and you see the items from Silkbreaker. You know, the true Dota specialists.
are you truly a great Dota player if you haven't broken your version of Dota? No, of course not. So, still waiting here. Again, I believe it was NoPing who threw the pause out, but nobody's DC'd. That's always the good news. So, there we go. We've got the clear from the D2 Hustler side, so once NoPing are ready, we should be hopping on into this one, and there we go. Right on cue. The match will be resumed, and we'll see what either side look to do here. We didn't see much in the way of immediate aggression in that previous series, outside of just some sort of deep warding attempts, but well, so far, D2 Hustlers still kind of grouped up as they leave their base. No smoke play, so honestly this could just break apart pretty easily, but they're maintaining that formation. We'll see if they run into anything, and considering the fact that they've got a couple of slows, you see Monster has put the point up in the gush already, so maybe they do try to make something happen if somebody pushes forward, and hello somebody, Dark Mago. You don't want to be there. Wrong side of the ramp, he is going to get hit up right away. And that one's just hand-delivered to them. They knew the Lesh was going to try to check that high ground, and they hit him up.
Yeah, and that is actually some pretty good preparation versus NoPing. I think he does that every single time, no matter what. Dark Mago just really playing like clockwork. At the same time, they also have this ward here that they always like to place. I believe they stole this one over from Infamous. If they get that D ward too, then they've really done their work here for this first series versus NoPing. And if D2 Hustlers can take a game off of NoPing, that would be massive for them, because NoPing are, again, one of the front runners. They were in the grand finals in our last BTS Pro Series, and I see Udomi's got the sentry. I'm waiting to see if he actually gets this D ward, but they're going again. Panda's got to be careful.
Very careful. He has not scaled anything yet, so could pop the shield if he was really in trouble, but they're not going to push that far, and Panda recognizing slash betting that that was going to be the case. Not sure if he knew it for sure, but he is not going to have to skill up anything just yet, as we will get the laning stage started. But if you're D2 Hustlers, that was about as strong a start as you really could have gotten. As you mentioned, just taking advantage of routine from NoPing. There's so many things that they do that normally we consider to be a strength, right? The fact that they're so consistent, but every once in a while, consistency can also make you a little bit predictable there. But just the one kill, not going to go too crazy, although Panda getting hit up pretty quickly here. That shield pops almost instantly, and This double slow for Monster and Devi is going to be something that he'll have to keep an eye on really throughout the entirety of this lane.
And that's where I think they've set up their lanes very nicely here. You don't have the double melee lane that I think would have been pretty effective versus Angel. Instead, you're going to have Devi Lama being a ranged hero, which is a little bit more effective than his opponents, as well as having that ability to always take off the Aphotic Shield immediately. Of course, at the same time, you can always purge off the slow, so it's something you have to consider when these early engagements do go down, but I think this will mean that there will be at least a little bit of kill threat on the Angel. He definitely needs to be a little bit concerned. And a nice play from Monster there. Denying the range creep and getting the range creep on his side. Just good little plays.
And Panda getting hit up again. Monster's not in range to help out, and had already used the Gush, so wouldn't have had it to contribute there, but Devi is doing his best, just to sort of bully Panda a little bit. Panda came prepared, though. He's got the tangos. He had 2 salves, so he knows he is going to have to absorb quite a bit of damage in this lane, and I mean, so far it's working out relatively well. He is getting beat up a little bit, but you see Angel 7-2, not exactly running away with the lane, but not really getting pressured too heavily either. In fact, Monster is the one who started to drop a little bit low there between the right clicks and the Aphotic Shield sort of snapping right on him.
And that's where I think the lane is a little bit unfortunate for them. I think you would have gone for different items if you do your laning versus the Ench, whether it was the Oof and then just getting that early point in the Curse of Avernus, then you do feel a little bit stronger. But instead, you're in a little bit of an awkward spot where Pandaboo can't really afford to go back for that skill point anymore. So we'll probably not see him skill up his passive for quite a while here. But Luna is still very annoying to lane against, even though you are Tide Hunter. Just does so much damage for a ranged hero. It really doesn't feel fair sometimes, and you just end up getting beamed over and over again. And Devi can't really help you with that. He's got to do damage to this Abaddon, try and win these trades by getting the resources out of his hand.
I almost feel
Top lane, Matthew getting himself sort of caught out there. Not a crazy amount of setup sort of control-wise between Yadami and Yuma, but what they lack maybe in direct control right now, they certainly make up for in damage. Just able to hit up a low HP Rubik, and now Oscar, he's going to get forced back as well. Does go in with the spear. That's going to keep the Pango at arm's length, but this is a duo that can dish out a lot of damage in a hurry, and normally you'd think NoPing would be safe because there's not much lockdown to sort of keep them trapped, but if they're out of position, well, they're not exactly the fastest heroes in the world in terms of just getting out of that line of fire.
And we saw this in the previous game as well. Clink's in physical damage, and a more iconic duo. He's very, very, very obnoxious, especially for a hero that isn't sitting too pretty with armor of his own. Still working towards that soul ring. Oscar is going to be a little bit far away from it. And Pango as well. The Swash just does so much if you're not ready to tank up just yet. And it's just such an obnoxious hero, even though he is put into that 5 position. Just going to make sure that Yuma has a pretty free time. That's where Matthew's just stacking and trying to get runes, as opposed to helping his offlaner.
Yeah, not a whole lot Matthew can do directly, but stacking camps, he's going to grab a water rune. He's going to lose his bounty, unfortunately, as Yonomi comes in to steal that. Now, this is technically going to be a bit of a fight, but Matthew says, no, thank you. I would rather not. Just walks away, and does he suspect that the sentry ward is here? I don't think he was able to actually see it as he was still on the low ground, but if he goes for another sort of stack attempt and that ward ends up blocking it out, that's going to sort of reveal it. But by that point, you've lost a lot of time. But Yadami's just trying to be as annoying as possible. Matthew's going to lift him up into the stack. That doesn't really do a whole lot of damage to him, and the Pango has done his job. He has been annoying, he is leaving, and there's not a whole lot Matthew can do to really punish it.
And that was actually a really cool play from Yadomi there, knowing that he doesn't have a lot of damage coming from his spells, so the Ancients are going to be what does damage, but then Matthew says, oh, I could just throw you in there. I guess that's how I'm going to win this fight, and then forces the TP out. He'll be able to scout out this is blocked in just a few moments here. I think he's going to recognize it pretty much instantly. He's checking as well. Yeah, he's got it. But just the economy game that NoPing love to play. They like to wait out their timings, just be as efficient as possible on the map. It's something that they're very, very good at, is just investing in their map and then getting the rebounds with those item timings, even if they are playing at a little bit of a slower pace for as good as a team they are.
Yeah, it's just something that I would say every once in a while kind of comes back to bite them in the butt, but for the most part, yeah, they just play so sort of methodically to the point where They know what they can get, and when they can get it, they're not really in a rush most of the time, as Matthew and Yodomi are just going to hack away at each other again. They have seriously traded some damage here early on, but their level 2 and 3 is really 0 kill potential here whatsoever, but they're just going to continue this dance, trying to set up anything for their cores later on down the line. Dark Mago and Mr. Jeans just going to sort of stay mid and let that one happen, or maybe not, actually. You do see Dark Mago pushing his way over. There's going to be the telekinesis. Yodomi gets away for now with the swashbuckle, but not quite. Lightning Storm hits for the slow, but the follow-up from the Split Earth wasn't there, and the Pengo's going to be able to get away. While he was getting away from that, his teammate, though, picked up the DD. So Mr. Jeans is actually going to work in the jungle trying to take one of these stacked camps for himself, and that's going to get him a little bit of an edge up against his laning opponent.
Yeah, and this is where the lanes will kind of collapse. Everybody wants to hit up the jungle as much as they can. It's an efficiency game. The real moment where we're going to see pressure get put on, like we see in the bottom lane, is around those cart timings where Angel does need to be a little bit careful here. You're not seeing Monster get level 6 anytime soon, so it's not like he's going to be able to just ravage and get that pick off. But once this Tide gets a few more items, he's got a HOD coming out to him as well, I believe. Once he has that, then we might see that collapse onto the mid tower that we typically see in our Dota 2 games nowadays.
Yeah, recipe for that Dom Helm coming out to him right now. So, the sort of zoo play from the Tide Hunter will be coming out relatively soon. That should give them really a little bit more of everything. Damage, utility, a little bit more pushing power as well. Maybe try and take that tier 1 and push the Luna away early. But in the meantime, Dark Mago's going after the stack. But yeah, Yodomi's scouting it. Well, he's the one getting scouted now, as they do see him. There's the telekinesis. Can they get the spear? Can they get the spear? Oscar, not really going to need it, actually. Okay. Who needs the spear when you've got Dark Mago in with the nuke damage? So, Yodomi does get taken down. He wasn't really able to steal any of that stack, so they don't really give up too much resource-wise there either. 4 heroes do sort of make their way over. Maybe you can sort of ding them for that a little bit, but overall, that goes relatively well. They get the Pango out of their hair, they continue to get farm up on the Leshrac, and there's no sort of immediate threat to them elsewhere on the map while they were doing that.
And it's amazing to me that Angel is able to stay bottom without just being slain. He had 4 heroes show on the map. They knew that he was completely alone bottom, and I think that kind of falls onto Mr. Jean's lap for not making that rotation. If he was playing bottom with his teammates, not only do you get pressure onto that tower, I think you almost assuredly get that kill on the Luna. You at least force everyone onto that bottom side.
No, he just walked under the sentry.
Scouted it out, but...
Can Angel get away? Panda's sort of on standby with the shield. He doesn't want to use it yet. He'll throw it out there, but I'm not sure if that was enough. No, it is not. Angel will still be taken down, but Oscar's in, dropping down the arena. But where's the damage right now? The Mars doesn't hit too hard, and Panda is an ABBA. He's not really going to do a whole lot, so I like the reaction from Oscar, just kind of wish it had come in maybe a few seconds earlier, as now Panda is going to get run down here as well. That same trio stick to their target. They're going to be able to find the kill. Oscar now comes back in, looking for the spear play, but again, just like the last time, he can set up quite a bit, but he can't do enough damage to secure any of that himself.
Yeah, and Angel will just TP mid now, but it is weird. The rotation was a little bit slow. They had a decent window there where if Oscar simply TPs in, I think they might have to give up on that play onto Angel. They didn't have enough mana to actually get that Ravage off. There was some kind of misplay there, I think, coming from NoPing, but finally Angel will get kicked out of that bottom lane. He will force to jungle just a little bit here. I don't think he wants to give up another death like that, especially knowing that he has these huge stacks available to them. There's actually even a sentry that was able to be placed here by what I can only imagine is Yodomi. He's been so pesky for the NoPing side, even though this is what is a 4-stack Ancients, I think, at this point, but unfortunately the Luna can't take it just yet.
Not quite in that position. Meanwhile, up top, Matthew and Dark Mago, they're eyeballing the Pango here. To be honest, maybe you get the kill, maybe you can't. Either way, it is going to be an opportunity to push, and that's what Dark Mago's more interested in. Maxed out Edict, he's going to really just push his way forward. Glyph is going to at least temporarily stop that, but now Yodomi's been spotted. Oh, that's not a fun place to be. He's now trapped in the tree line, but Dark Mago can't hit him up just yet, but there's going to be the Pulse Nova coming in through the tree line, and they will take the Pango down. Now they can sort of turn their attention. I was going to say back to the tower, but Matthew's got to sort of clear out that creep wave first. Shouldn't really take him all that long, though. But while all this is going down, Tier 1 tower is under attack over on the other side of the map. So Overall, this could just be a trade of the objectives, in which case the kill on the Pango would be the deciding factor that's ever so slightly going to tip that NoPing's way.
And fortunately, they do get that glyph back, so this tower will get taken down. So now they have glyph for the middle lane. Not that they were really able to push that middle lane just yet. It's just the power of the Luna, just having that much wave push this early on. You need the creeps, or you need a really big hero out and in front. And until we get that Blink Dagger from Oscar, he doesn't have a good way to get across the river right now, because you need to find the initiation onto these heroes. Otherwise, the push, plain and simple, isn't going to come for you. Dark Mega will die if he's that far forward. So we are going to see, again, it's a slower paced game coming out from NoPing, but this is how they like to play their games.
The two Hustlers, though, are starting to maneuver their way further and further onto their opponent's side of the map. You see Monster sort of poking his head mid with that Dom-helmed creep. You've got a couple of other heroes sort of sitting deeper in that south side jungle. So they are looking to punish somebody. We do have a pause coming out again, but if you're NoPing, you've got to be a little bit careful here. There's a bit of a group up in that west side jungle as Angel's trying to get through that ancient stack, but beyond this sort of west side triangle, if you push any further forward, you are running into multiple Hustlers heroes. As Dark Mago pretty close to Yodomi. There's not a whole lot to be going on there, but Mr. Jeans, you look at him, he's just farming. He is stealing away those camps from his opponents, and as of right now, they don't realize he's there. They can't really punish him, although if he moves towards the river, this ward will spot him, but for right now, he's just going to stay hidden.
And honestly, I don't think they're too upset with that. During all of this, Angel is also able to claim quite a few creeps of his own in the triangle and work towards a few of those smaller items. He actually skipped the Mask of Madness, fortunate enough for him. He was able to get the, albeit worse, but still nice Possessed Mask. It's definitely way, way worse. 7 HP per attack is definitely not the lifesteal that it once was, but Angel is more or less untouched, and the cores on NoPing are still the front runners of this game. This mid tower, this is the push that I was talking about 7 minutes ago. They need to keep the pressure on, but Dark Mago?
They're going to try and jump him up top. Need a little bit more damage, and Yodomi, he's in there. Swashbuckle only level 3, but it gets the job done. Dark Mago picked off, and now if you're NoPing, what exactly can you do here? The Leshrac is no longer on the field. You can't exactly group up for a push mid because you have to assume those C2 Hustlers heroes are now in a position to sort of rotate over. So they sort of miss what could have been a window, and on top of missing that opportunity, your Leshrac gets sniped out as well.
Yeah, and fortunately for them, they do kick out their opponents from the mid lane. The play top does kill their push mid, so it is a trade just a little bit because it is giving more time over to that Luna. But yeah, mid.
They pull the Llama back in. Dark Mago's going to push forward, but there's that Rolling Thunder coming in. But now Oscar's going to throw down the arena there, taking so much damage. Ravage, though, comes out. Monster is going to try to turn this around, but there's going to be the steal. The Ravage, okay, the Ravage from Matthew actually didn't really hit onto all that much. So it's an impressive steal, but the actual usage of the stolen Ravage doesn't help out too much. But everybody falls back. No one died somehow, so we are just kind of going to reset here. But with Angel in the mix, this is a reset that Hustlers may want to think twice about, or they could just go directly in onto the Luna. That's a lot of damage, but Panda's there, dropping the Aphotic Shield, but that means Oscar is sort of the odd man out. No one there to defend him as he will be taken down. Divine Llama gets the kill, and now they want in onto Matthew as well. Mr. Jeans, he is flying forward with the move speed bonus from that Fiery Soul, and he is going to be able to catch up to Matthew for now. Good telekinesis, though, to create that separation, and Mr. Jeans, he wants the kill, but not enough to dive all the way up onto that ramp. So backs himself away, but after all of that, it's Oscar dead and no one gone on the D2 Hustler side.
And it's still this awkward situation where both teams know that mid is the play, but neither one really wants to give it up. It's a really good steal from Matthew, but he was so low from all of the spam, all the wave clear, and we saw, again, mid, D2 Hustler's wave clear is phenomenal. They are going to kill your creeps, and then NoPing have to be strong enough to stand by themselves, and looking at the items on all of their heroes, they're not at that stage of the game yet, so really all it takes is 2 heroes to push you off of your buildings, and even though they didn't have any of their cooldowns on the D2 Hustlers side, their relative strength is just a little bit too strong, and the map is going to reset to basically 0. The carts have respawned, so we might see D2 Hustlers make another rotation in the mid lane. It's just where Monster's going to play. He's going to stay here until the tower is dead. There's nowhere else for him to really play. This is exactly what he needs to do, but that's where, again, it's the defense versus the aggress.
Monster's game plan, it's straightforward, but it's going to work. My job is to sit in this lane, and your job is to try and come stop me, and so far, NoPing really haven't been able to stop him. Of course, maybe half credit for that fight in the middle lane, as Monster's Ravage did not really get them much. It was only after the fact that Oscar got taken down, but it's still just the same old game plan. Monster's going to sit here. He's got that Satyr Tormentor to help him out with the Shockwave for the extra wave clear, so there's just no progress that can be made in this middle lane by NoPing right now. They have to find the pickoffs first. You do see them at least starting to look for some of these plays, but yeah, look at Yadmi. He's just gonna hang out, waiting on that sort of high ground area, getting some D wards in as well, just trying to make sure that these two halves of the NoPing lineup can't link up the way that they might want to right now. Although they are going for it anyway.
Cool.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, Matthew was about to lose it anyway, so no harm done there. Ravage gets thrown out. Naomi will be taken down, and there's the pickoff that NoPing we're sort of looking for. I don't think that opens up a path for them to go into the tower, as Monster still exists in this middle lane, but at least they're able to find something. They can put some pressure on now, maybe, and they can continue making space for the Luna, as Panda actually had his ult pop, but the second impetus hit actually just healed him all the way up. Really none the worse for wear there, as Rubik taking the level 1 gush this time. Not quite as impressive, but it is still going to be useful in terms of getting Matthew in there for the next fight. A little bit of damage, a little bit of slow. If you can catch someone out of position, the lift and the gush could do quite a bit of work, but that's assuming really someone on the D2 Hustler's side gets out of position. Right now, the game plan is stand behind Monster and wait.
Unfortunately, I think Dark Mago actually showed a little bit too fast bottom. I think whenever they see how fast he was actually able to push in that bottom wave after Yuma was able to push it in, I think this is the free pass that they get to now put even more damage on this Throne Tower. And we're going to see it pop into that deny range pretty soon here. And they have the arena. Oscar can definitely flood his TP mid, but without the Lesh, I'm definitely concerned about their damage, because aside from that arena, they aren't really getting much from Angel at this point in the game. Of course, he has gone for the max Lucent Beam. He's at really max kit at this point. One more level would be nice because he has that many more beams in his Eclipse. Of course, he skipped it to just try and get his other skills up. It's just how you play Luna. You can't really afford to waste any skill points on this hero. But that means that this Luna is going to have to get a little bit more involved in this mid-tier 1 tower fight. And that could definitely be a fight that I can see NoPing losing.
Yeah, they'll have to commit more resources to even take the fight, and those resources don't guarantee that you're going to be able to necessarily have the advantage. So they may be forced to make a bit of a tough choice here. Might just have to let the tower go if Angel doesn't really want to sort of make that rotation and risk his current sort of farming rhythm. So all of that, as you said, sort of coming off the back of the just vision onto the Leshrac, seeing him down bot. They know he has no TP, so we'll see whether or not they can take advantage of that. To be honest, I think Monster could just push in himself right now, and Matthew's not exactly going to be looking to fight up against him. But if Yudomi and Divine Llama sort of come in to help, then it really feels like NoPing are going to be forced into that choice. Either bring 3-4 heroes to defend or let the tower go. But they're not actually pushing it just yet. Monster is sort of hinting that he wants to go in, but they're not going to make the full commitment right now. Panda has rotated his way in as well, but now Monster is going to make that move, and we'll see what kind of response comes, if any. The Leshrac is making his way over. Angel has actually moved into position as well, and even Oscar, he's going to go in, dropping down the arena. They've caught Monster alone. They can actually blow him up here as the Ravage will come through. Panda will be taken down, but that's a 1-for-1 trade they're going to be happy with so far, but that's going to make it a little bit rougher. Oscar taken down by the Laguna, but Matthew actually just stole it. Matthew stole the Laguna Blade, but Dark Mago and Angel, they're both going to get sent up by that LSA. Mr. Jeans is just tearing into them with that BKB active. Can Angel win the fight? Well, technically he can, but only against Mr. Jeans himself. Yuma's there to clean up, picking up his second kill of the fight. And this is exactly what we were sort of afraid of, ET, what you were mentioning. If you bring these heroes over, the presence of Angel was not going to guarantee a win. The initiation from Oscar is not going to guarantee a win. They do certainly extract a heavy toll in that fight, but they are very much the sort of the losers of that one. As they're forced to retreat, they lose their tower and a couple of their cores.
And it's really tight timings from absolutely everyone. You have the second item BKB on the Luna. You've got the second item BKB on the Luna, who actually disassembled her Dragon Lance to make sure she had it for that mid-fight. and then everything just falls apart there. I think if you're able to get that burst onto Monster, maybe it goes a little bit differently, but you have to get a little bit too close to him. I think he even BKB'd the Ravage and it just didn't end up mattering. So, you know, lose your mid tower and they still can't get the enemy mid tower. It's just still too difficult to push into these heroes, and Oscar's looking for a jump, but there's just no one to find.
Yeah, standing on the low side of the ramp, you are not going to be sort of sneaking up on anybody in that one. So, credit to Oscar, but as long as Monster's sort of sitting up at the top of that ramp, really was no play to be made. But now, three-man smoke. Oscar and Matthew smoked up. Dark Mago initially was in that, but he did just pop it. So, interesting to see exactly what they can find here. The Lina is alone. BKB is up, though, so they would have to get this with some pretty spectacular execution. And Oscar, okay. Well, yeah, that's the problem. He needed that spear to come out that little bit faster. Mr. Jeans, though, just pops the BKB, and he's going to be able to walk away.
And it does mean that there might be a follow-up smoke play to try and find the Lina, but I think with that arena committed, they still want to push into this mid tower, but Monster is just the vanguard. He is just standing in front of it, letting his sort of small heroes in. Oh, they didn't know about the Laguna.
Sniped out by the Rubik. Good play from Matthew, and now that may be the numbers advantage that NoPing were looking for. We'll see just how much further they push this. Angel's copping a little bit of damage there, but Panda's going to continue to heal him up, dropping the Aphotic Shield onto him as well, but still risky. Yeah, sure, Yonomi's dead, but that's only one down, and it's basically the pause 5 hero on the other side. So they had an opening, but not quite as big of one as they thought that they needed, and now with the Leshrac sort of shoving off into that north side jungle, it's going to sort of devolve back into that stalemate, but really without the Lesh, NoPing can't push that middle lane. And honestly, even with the Lesh, sometimes they can't push it, as we've seen repeatedly.
Yeah, and once you get BKB on Dark Mago, maybe you've got a chance here to finally crack open that mid tower. But aside from that one play to try and get Mr. Jean's bottom, we also haven't seen them setting up in these side lanes. If they really wanted to, they could force the play onto these tier 2 towers and then collapse on mid, but they've been really stubborn about stuffing heroes in this mid lane. And you see Monster, he traversed a little bit too far away from his tower, so this will be the glyph getting forced out by him. He misplayed for just a little bit of, or just a few seconds there, but this is the one thing they can assure. If they ever see Monster anywhere aside from mid, they can force a mid by simply putting the Luna on the high ground, and then he has to respond very quickly. Otherwise, you're going to lose that tower, it's going to open up your map, and it's something that D2 Hustlers really don't need to give away. And I think they're all grouped up here.
He only bought the smokes, but they actually need to be delivered out to him, so Devi is actually going to have one sent to him first, and we should see them
awkward.
Go for this. This is taking so long. Come on, boys. There we go. They'll smoke up now. It actually doesn't hit Mr. Jeans, though, so that's still a little bit awkward. Speaking of four-man smokes, though, NoPing going for one themselves. This is going to turn into a fight in the middle lane as Oscar jumps in, but Mr. Jeans, he got off the BKB. The whole play is busted, and that's just an absolute disaster. Oscar's already dead. Angel, though, trying to fight his way through this. The Eclipse is doing a fair bit of damage, just not onto one target. They're not able to blow up anyone in particular, and now this whole thing's really just going to break apart. Yuma needs to fall back as the BKB was coming to an end, but that started out so awkwardly. The strangest sort of pause there to get the smoke play up and running, but if you're D2 Hustlers, in the end it still kind of works out in your favor. Despite the fact that Matthew starts the fight with that telekinesis, the Ravage is there, you don't end up giving it over to the Rubik either, and Oscar just gets kind of overwhelmed before his teammates could save him.
Yeah, and it is a little bit awkward that Mr. Jeans was able to get his BKB off, but it was an absolute fantastic Ravage from Monster. If it doesn't hit in that exact way where you clip the left track TPing in, you clip the Luna walking in as well. Oh, and they were actually able to get the tower and Yadomi mid, but that is the cost now. You ravaged, you got your teammate out of there, but you weren't able to take anyone down with the ensuing aftermath, so now you lose the mid tower, the map opens up a little bit more, and this is where a team like NoPing becomes extremely dangerous. You need to be pretty rigid here. You need to gain a little bit of control, maybe forcing some of these towers. You've got a lot of farm. Yuma is incredibly farmed on this Clinks right now. He is hitting right up there with Angel, but they're so quick immediately into the pit. He's scanning out, though.
Yeah. Scan comes through, but the question is, can Hustlers do anything about it? They're sending the creep forward, so the Satyr will scout this out definitively, but what's the play? They don't have the Ravage for 50. There's no blink on the Tide either, so we couldn't just jump in there, but They're grouping up like they want this. This is going to get a little bit tight on the timing, though. They are going to be able to pop Panda's ult as now Monster pushes his way into the pit. Can he steal it? No, he can't. Aegis into the hands of Angel. Monster now sort of stuck in the middle of this. The arena is going to get thrown down. They actually spear up Divine Llama, so they will take the Enchantress out of the fight right away. Now the Laguna Blade onto Oscar, dropping low on that Mars. Not dead yet, though, as the Aphotic Shield not only keeps him alive, but then pops for the extra bit of damage they need. Monster's the one to fall, and now Mr. Jeans hit up by the spear and finished off as well. It just felt like D2 Hustlers did not need to do that. They weren't going to be there in time to stop the Roche attempt, and fighting 5v5 into a team with Aegis just felt a little bit risky, and you see the risk sort of playing out in the worst possible manner for them with that fight.
And to compound everything, that arena was perfectly placed from Oscar. The Lena didn't want to commit her BKB to walk in so she could actually do damage on the heroes that were getting slowed up. Maybe if you're able to trade out your BKB and your Lena's life for the Aegis on the Luna, that's your best shot there. But the stolen LSA from Matthew is just a little bit too good, and a lot of pressure now is being applied across the map, where once Yuma gets this Scotty, it is going to feel even harder for this Luna to actually move forward towards your buildings. But then you look at Angel and you see he's just doing the Shard Crit Stick build, and they are very thin right now. Yudomi and Divine Llama are going to be the absolute perfect targets for that. They don't have any armor. Naturally, they've got not the worst situation for themselves, but against that item, it's not going to be enough, and it's going to mean that this backline is just going to shatter if that arena lands on them. We need to see a BKB from Yuma next, and actually, yeah, it already has the BKB, but we need to see something more from this Clinks. I think after Scotty, if he's able to get maybe the Daedalus up, we're going to see some of the tankier targets on NoPing finally get taken down, but they're just running out of damage.
Man, not a great time for them either. It's okay, NoPing making a move mid. Dark Mako in with Matthew. They take down Divine Llama, but now, can they get away? Yudomi and Monster, well, okay. Fair enough. They jump in initially. They've got a lot of lockdown, but they don't have a lot of damage to work with just between the two of them, so they don't really want to go head-to-head with the Leshrac, even in a scenario that could have been a 2v1 for them. So they'll cut their losses. They lose the Enchantress, but now more and more momentum is shifting into the NoPing favor. Pulled up the net worth and experience graphs just a moment ago. NoPing had their first lead on both fronts in the entirety of the game after that fight around the Roche pit. So D2 Hustlers had been doing well to sort of keep their opponents at arm's length previously, but now you do start to get a little bit concerned, and ET, as you said, this is where Yuma needs to step up. This is where Yuma needs to become kind of that battering ram for his team. He needs to be the guy just dishing out stupid amounts of damage, because Mr. Jeans, he is building his way towards that Machine Gun Lena build as well, but it's not quite there yet. So the Clinks is going to be relied upon pretty heavily. He's got to try and keep himself safe, as he is showing mid, trying to defend the tower, but NoPing seem like they really want to go for this. The Glyph is going to turn them back, but as soon as it wears off, Dark Mako can just go back in, and actually it's Angel who's really going to be doing the heavy lifting as the tower will fall, but now Oscar jumping in, good spear. Divine Llama is going to get pushed back. Decent attempt there with the Glimmer, but he is going to get spotted out and taken down. Now Yuma getting hit up here as well. Can they actually keep him locked in place long enough for the kill? No, the BKB will come through. That's going to allow Yuma to fall back. Now Mr. Jeans comes in with the Laguna Blade. That takes down Oscar, but Angel would be the real prize here. If they can get that Aegis out of his hands right now, that would get so much for them in terms of later opportunities, but they haven't caught up to him just yet. Monster, though, hitting him with the Gush. Can't finish off the kill, though. Good play from Panda in with the Aphotic Shield. They'll turn the fight now as Monster is the one on the run, but Yuma, he's still firing away. The Ravage now comes out from Monster. That's going to try to turn the fight, but Matthew stole it, turns around, throws it onto the Clinks, and Yuma, no, not going to be able to make it out. No teammates close enough. Mr. Jeans could have tried, but really at this point, there wasn't a whole lot he could do. He didn't have too many spells left. Now Mr. Jeans is the one in some trouble. He's going to get hit up by the Lucent Beam. BKB comes out now, but Angel, he just wants to die to get that second life up and running, and while he's respawning, Panda and Dark Mako just run down Divine Llama.
Yeah, and really, the game is blown wide open now. They don't have Glyph available to them. This should just be 2 racks here. I don't think they can really do much, especially without Mr. Jeans having his BKB. If he shows just a little bit too far forward.
Matthew, caught him out. Splitter stun comes in, and yeah. You cannot get caught with that BKB down, as you were saying, but now he's dead. He doesn't have buyback. He's dead for over a minute. This is horrible. There's no one with buyback on the side of D2 Hustlers. They just have to let this really go.
Yep, there's absolutely nothing they can do. They're going to go back for that mid melee ranks after they are able to get the full set top. It just feels like a collapse completely.
Oh,
and
Matthew.
again, Matthew just keeps finding him. And yep, are they going to hit T4s?
I think they can
Yeah,
afford to. They've got to know by this point that the buybacks aren't there. If they had them, they would have used them. So this might just force the end of the game. Oh, okay, maybe not. Backdoor protection's coming in there.
it's good from Udomi.
Hmm.
Udomi knew what to prioritize there. It's not going to be the perfect solution. You're still down 2 racks, but the game will not very abruptly end like was kind of foreseen there. But this is still a really terrible position. If NoPing really wanted to, they could take it low and slow, get a 20k gold lead, fight around that second Roche, and then the game will almost assuredly end. But this will give them a little bit of an opportunity. They have the Helm of the Overlord as well, finished up on monsters, so maybe you can get a Black Dragon, try and force your opponents to play a little bit slower, force out those waves. A monster?
What? Really? Did he just not see the TP? I'm not entirely sure what went down there, but Monster's dead, no buyback available. Now here comes Oscar into the fight. Good BKB from Yuma, though, keeping himself safe, trying to fight this out, but he's losing his teammate as Vailama will be taken down. But now here comes Udomi into the fight, rolling his way forward. Oscar, though, is going to pop a BKB of his own, so they don't have the damage to finish him off. And now you see Dark Mago. He was trying to sort of get onto the back line, but Udomi's going to be able to keep him away with the last few seconds of that Rolling Thunder. But that looked and felt so incredibly awkward. Speaking of awkward, what is this? Mr. Jeans in a 1v1 with Matthew in the middle lane. Mr. Jeans will win it, but that is the Laguna Blade being deployed there to kill off a Rubik who really is not a high priority target right now, but if you're D2 Hustlers, any kill, any possible kill you could get, any bit of gold into the hands of the Lina has to be considered a positive, I suppose.
Yeah, and we are seeing a few of those small items getting completed up, but I'm looking at NoPing's lineup and I'm seeing items like the Satanic, like the Blink Dagger, the Shiva's Guard. All of these items are just compounding to play into the D2 Hustlers lineup where if they miss the roll, if they miss a Ravage on a BKB target, I'm so surprised Monster didn't go for this Blink Dagger sooner. Instead, he just wanted to get that Helm of the Overlord as fast as possible, but I really haven't felt the effects, and yeah, just can't walk into high ground versus NoPing right now. They're just an absolute unit, and Oscar, if they really want to, they just walk up on them, fix their wave. You already have top pushing in. You already know that top is pushing in, and I think they might even force the issue before Roche could possibly respawn.
Yeah, about 35 seconds away from the sort of fastest respawn timer, so, well, they don't have to wait that long. Honestly, it feels more in NoPing's style to wait out that timer just to get the Aegis, make sure that the sort of likelihood of a mistake is just that much lower. And really, it just feels like they can afford to wait. I mean, sure, Yodomi's going to be back up and in, but this D2 Hustlers lineup has not really shown us that teamfight execution that was sort of drawing the game out earlier on in that middle lane. We were sort of applauding them for that excellent play in the middle lane. Monster in particular just sort of keeping them back and back and back. But now with that tier 1 tower sort of lost in that defensive position surrendered, they haven't been able to put together the same kind of fight. And speaking of fights, Devi, well, he's not going to be an easy kill in the middle lane, that's for sure, but I'm not really sure he gets out. Yeah, he buys some time, but he will still fall. So NoPing are able to find the kill. Angel's the one to get it, and now, well, do they wait? Do we see the rotation towards the bottom lane? For right now, Angel's really not making too many aggressive moves. He's just going to fall back into the jungle, farm that up, push out the bottom wave, and BT, you said low and slow. Kind of feels like the game plan for them right now, and that puts more pressure on the D2 Hustlers to try and stop them, but yeah, Mr. Jeans, good BKB. Dark Mago's just going to sort of back off of that one, and now, uh-oh, down to the bottom lane. Yodomi's in. Yuma's trying to dish out the damage too. They take this fight without the Lina. That's a little bit strange from them, but it's not going horribly so far. They're slowly but surely pushing it back. There's Monster in with the Ravage, connecting onto 2, but Dark Mago now blinks in, looking to dish out some damage of his own. They've lost one already, though, on that NoPing side, and they're starting to get a little bit split up. But Angel is now into the fight, dishing out the damage. They'll take Monster down, but they lose the Leshrac in exchange as Yuma was able to snipe him out. So, I mean, overall, that goes D2 Hustler's way. That fight just looked so kind of scuffed at the start, going in without the Lina, but Mr. Jeans is eventually able to make his way over, and they turn it into a 2-for-1 going their way.
And it's a really good Ravage by Monster. They get the Abaddon whenever the ultimate was already committed, so he does just have to sit there while he's stunned up, as well as the DD rune on Mr. Jeans. I thought it was going to play a much bigger aspect in that fight, but him not having that BKB ended up not mattering and finishing up the Daedalus as well. Not playing around his buyback, knowing he needs this tick up in damage, and actually able to claim him. But Yuma, oh, you can't
Matthew,
afford.
that was a nifty play. He actually tossed himself to get the stun onto the Clinks since he didn't have the vision. But Yuma, he's actually turning this one around. Mr. Jeans, oh, okay, BKB will come out now, but who can they get? Really, Panda's looking like the only target that they could viably go for. Angel, though, is sticking around in this fight, but now the BKB's popped. The Eclipse is coming through. The damage is really being avoided for the most part. Excellent positioning from D2 Hustlers, and now they're going back in. They blink onto Angel, they take him down. Mr. Jeans gets both of those kills, and all of a sudden, Matthew, he's just got to try and hide in the tree line. Will they spot him? I don't believe they will. So Matthew blinks further to the south. He doesn't have a TP, though, so he's kind of trapped here, but D2 Hustlers, okay. Starting to see a little bit more out of them as they take that fight.
And NoPing are way, way, way out of their league right now. They are playing with 3 heroes. Your Mars was nowhere near you. He was still busy respawning during all of that. And he sent a creep into the Roche pit. They know that it's up. As well as Yuma now working on that level 25. He's going to have in just a second here. And once you have that health pack, yeah, 4,000 HP Clinks is online. This game is not over by any means. They haven't gotten a clean fight in a very long time on NoPing, but unless they buy back, I don't know if they're actually going to be able to stop this Roche from happening. It's dying so quickly.
They don't have buyback. Angel, did he just buy something? He's 1,800 short of his buyback. They can't contest.
He bought the Pike.
Oh boy. Well, D2 Hustlers starting to pound that drum, starting to sort of get on the warpath here. They've got Aegis, they've got the Shard up, and NoPing's still in control of this one. 6k up, so it's not like they've completely lost that aspect. They've still got 2 racks over their opponents, but that has not really mattered too much. D2 Hustlers have still been able to make these plays, so that threat is really just always going to be there. NoPing cannot afford to just sort of sit back and rest on their laurels right now. Otherwise, as you said, ET, this game is really far from over. D2 Hustlers 1 or 2 fights at the most away from just being right back in it.
Yeah, and without this lead, and with the Clinks actually closing in net worth-wise to the Luna, you are going to see them actually struggle to ever deal with this hero. You look at him, if he gets a huge creep, Yuma's got 5.5k HP. He is huge. He actually cannot die by normal means, as well as Dark Mago is really struggling to get on top of these heroes anymore. He is just getting shredded by both the Daedalus on the Lina and, I guess, the Daedalus on the Clinks. He really needs to be more considerate.
No.
And
running into Monster and Yuma, he very nearly dies. Even with the BKB coming out, they even have to hit him with that Glimmer Cape just to make sure he can get away. But now Panda sort of stuck in the river here. That's a lot of damage, and it's going to take a defensive telekinesis out from Matthew to really pull him away. But look at this. D2 Hustlers, they're charging. They are going forward. The enemy is going to get the blink up, and that's a kill. Matthew gets taken down. Yuma is just an absolute monstrosity, as you said. He's got damage, he's got HP, and he's got confidence now. That's something that was maybe lacking a little bit earlier on in the game, but D2 Hustlers really feel like they're just firing on all cylinders right now, and NoPing, as of right now, don't quite have the answer. Dark Mago shows himself bot, immediately pushed back there by Yuma, and yeah, as you said, ET, he can't get onto these targets. If he pops the BKB, the physical damage is going to tear into him. The armor from the Shiva's Guard was supposed to be a sort of deterrent to that exact scenario, but it's really just not enough. He's got 37 armor, and he still just gets blasted by these heroes. As he is going to be able to get away from Yodomi there, but while he falls back, Yuma simply takes the tower.
And really, bottom was so strange to me because they're fighting into these skeletons. If Yuma can get down 4 or 6 skeletons, you can't go into him. You can't afford to let yourself get shredded away. And everybody on the NoPing side needs to stand there to do their damage.
They're going to jump onto Angel. They need a little bit more. There's going to be the Ravage coming out. BKB not deployed. Angel's actually holding it. He is going to go for it now. The Eclipse will come out as well. Oscar did drop down the arena. That's enough for them to finish off Monster, but how do they deal with Yuma right now? They keep him trapped in the arena and they walk away, but that's not going to be enough. They continue to charge their way forward. Mr. Jeans is dropping a little bit low. They need this kill, but they don't get it. The Satanic comes in. Lina heals up. It's Dark Mago who will now fall. That could have been their breakthrough moment, and it's not going to happen. Now Oscar's on the run. Can he get the blink back up? Yes, he can. But he is just running for his life right now. This has gone so terribly for NoPing, and it feels like maybe the window for them honestly might have closed now.
At least for the time being, we're not going to see NoPing heroes on the higher ground for a little bit here unless they actually get caught without any buybacks, but just look at
Yuma,
Yuma.
there's no way. There's no way this happens. He's going for it, but yeah, Angel's gonna walk away. Got to admire the attempt, the ambition. Yuma says, "Hey, let's see what I can do." And with the amount of health he has, Angel's not just gonna stand there and take that sort of 1v1 fight either. So this is the point that we've gotten to. This is where Yuma sort of currently stands. He knows maybe I can't get these kills, but no one's gonna take me down. So he can just sit there and force situations like that. Now he just rotates mid, tier 2 towers taking a beating, and the momentum in this match is shifting so significantly right now. And NoPing got to be careful because Yonobi wants in. He's going to roll his way forward. Angel's going to get hit up.
Roll.
Wants to hold the BKB, though, for as long as he can. And, well, he's not going to need it just yet. Yuma is the one who's actually going to get hit up, but, yeah, there's that pact, giving him the bonus HP. He loses about half of it, but even that isn't enough. They can't kill him out. And Lynx walks away. Obviously, he gets a little bit of help from his teammates there with the Hurricane Pike, but that's what those supports are going to be there for. The Enchantress is just sitting on the back line. I will save my buddy when I need to. I will hit you up with the impetus when it's called for, and if you're NoPing, I'm not really sure you can get anyone onto the back line to try and take out that Enchantress, and even if you do, then you've opened yourself up to the counterplay. So D2 Hustlers are just really getting the most out of their lineup right now, and well, the net worth has shifted back D2 Hustlers' way after nearly 40 minutes.
Yeah, and Clank's one of the best level 30 heroes. If we can actually see him get all the way up at every single level point going forward is going to be a pretty big increase for Yuma. Maybe the 12 resistance isn't that much, but the 15 and 20 talents are very nice, especially that 20 talent. And Monster's done such a good job of giving his Helm of the Overlord over to his teammate, but they have to be so careful sticking around here. They don't know about the roll in the Rubik yet, but okay.
Oh, they know now? Or, well, they're making their move. Matthew went in. Yuma, though, pops the BKB, but he is so isolated from his teammates right now. The Ravage, well, it's deployed onto kind of just Panda. Well, Yuma's still getting chased. They need to help out this Lynx. They cannot afford to let him die, but Yuma does go down. However, the trade-off is going to be there. They took down Angel in exchange, so now without that Luna, really, who does the damage? For that NoPing side, the answer is kind of nobody. Oscar gets picked off, and the rest of the lineup is just on the run. Dark Mago made his way top. The supports are now trying to get away, but they're not going to make it out. Panda gets caught and finished off. And Matthew will make his escape, but it's not the trade that they wanted. Sure, you take down the opposing carry, but you lose 3 of your own heroes, including your carry as well. So that Luna off the map, and without Angel, you can't really push anywhere. Dark Mago's trying to keep the top lane pushed in, but Monster's going to clear that out, and without the physical damage of the Luna, you can't exactly group up bot again.
Yeah, and that's where you have 2 physical damage cores coming out from the D2 Hustler side, where NoPing only have this Luna. Of course, Flesh is still very capable of getting buildings, but unless that BKB is gone, and Dark Mago did a really good job of hounding Yuma there, making sure that he was actually going to be able to finish off the kill that he started. That's the best case scenario, but
They don't have the damage for this, right? I mean, it's just the 2 supports trying it out, and yeah, now Dark Mago's pissed off. You have only made him angrier. Divine Llama will be taken down, and now Yonomi's got to run. Or maybe he doesn't. Mr. Jeans comes in. There's going to be the Laguna onto Matthew, taking him down. And now you've staggered out these respawns quite nicely. It would have been nice to get the Leshrac instead, but the Rubik is the one who sort of goes down there, and he does not have his buyback available. So, well, you're going to be dealing with, at the most, 4 heroes once the Luna and the Mars respawn. Maybe this is their opening, as Mr. Jeans is pushing his way forward, looking for that tower. Not going to be able to go all in for it, and now may actually just have to back away as Dark Mago blinked out of the base to try and dish out a little bit more damage, but really just kind of a warning shot, I would say, more than anything else, but it does its job. It pushes Mr. Jeans back, it saves the tier 3 tower, and NoPing sort of live to fight another day.
Yeah, and fortunately as well, because Yuma went down so early in that fight, don't need to worry about him getting too many more levels here. That's where Mr. Jeans is now becoming an absolute beast. He is just doing so much damage in these team fights and not really giving that LSA over to Matthew anymore either. I think without Matthew finding a lot of these steals, of course, he started that fight off having Rolling Thunder, and that was the big reason why Yuma had to commit his BKB so early. That's fantastic, but it still feels like they need just a little bit more. And I don't know who this actually benefits whenever Roche becomes on the table, because if you can get set up with these skeletons, it still feels like NoPing cannot go into the meat grinder. They cannot walk up. Maybe it's a little bit easier now that Dark Mago has that bloodstone, but this should still feel as hard as it is.
Yeah, just kind of a rough situation. Where do you look to make this play if you're NoPing? Speaking of making plays, Monster, oh boy, he's got a refresher orb, so he is going to be able to hit you with quite a bit in these fights. Actually, he does not have the mana to do that. He does have a soul ring though, so I mean, I'm not a math guy, but maybe that all works out for him. But just with his base mana pool, he's not actually going to be able to pull that play off. But the potential will be there. Again, if the soul ring is used correctly, then the double ravage could be the threat, or honestly, you could just get mana from a teammate. Either way, he's got that up and running, and now Yuma, he's going to look to push himself in. He gets the root down onto the Leshrac, so Dark Mago's in some trouble here. The BKB is going to come out from him, and now his teammates are making their way over to the fight. Matthew's going to get taken down first. Oscar, though, blinks in, gets the arena down, but they're into the Ravage, deploying onto multiple heroes. Monster does pop that shard, or excuse me, not shard, pops the orb. There's going to be the second Ravage coming out. They need more. They need to be able to take down Angel, but right now the Luna's just sort of holding her ground. Dark Mago waiting for that mana to come back up so he can rejoin the fight as well, but before he gets the chance, Panda will be taken out and the Luna actually TP'd home. So NoPing deciding it's not worth waiting that long for to go in for round 2. Instead, they back off. The problem is, they back off in a situation where D2 Hustlers have complete control over the map right now. They could push mid, they could go for Roshan, they should know that it's back up if they were scouting it out earlier. And the defensive capabilities of this NoPing lineup very much hindered. 2 heroes dead with no buybacks. Panda has one, but well, had one. Now he's going to use it, but I'm not sure how much his presence is really going to help out. He does at least get the shield down onto Dark Mago, but the D2 Hustlers will continue to push their way forward.
And you have to get these splitters down, otherwise they just have free range to push in. And Angel, forced to use his BKB, doesn't have Aeon Disc either. You have to be so cautious. We are getting into a game where whoever gets to force the enemy team's BKBs first is just going to win that fight. You saw that Matthew had to blink forward to try and get his Luna out of that first Ravage, was successful in doing so, and Monster actually didn't have enough mana for both. He had to wait maybe 5 seconds for that second Ravage, so it was a little bit staggered there, but now another Aegis.
Aegis Cheese and the Refresher Shard all up and running, so if Monster gets his hands on this one, doesn't really have to care too much about the mana cost there, as he won't have to pay. But yeah, Angel wants in. Force staffs forward. Yuma is going to be able to get the Aegis, but now Monster, he's already dead. Wow, Monster just taken out right away. Angel, though, he waited too long on Satanic. He's dead. He did not pop it in time, so he will be taken down. Angel, though, buying back immediately, looking to rejoin his teammates, but right now, they're kind of handling business. Dark Mago pushes in. They're going to burn away that Aegis. They're trying to bring down Mr. Cheese as well, but that physical damage is just tearing through the Leshrac. Dark Mago going to reset the fight with the Yule Scepter. He does have the Cheese at his disposal as well, and at this point, it's turning around. D2 Hustlers are the ones running out of time as they are buying back on pretty much everyone that they have left, trying to regroup around this ramp. As Angel, gotta be careful here. He is trying to sort of get himself away, but as he falls back, Yuma continues to fire in with the barrage, and Oscar does end up getting taken down, but Oscar, one of the heroes who has his buyback now, so they could get him back in, but at this point it feels like this fight is over. The Aegis does get picked up by D2 Hustlers. They have to use it almost immediately. Meanwhile, I think the Cheese did get used there by Dark Mago in the fight as well. So pretty much all the goodies from Roshan used instantly in that fight. But it's a fight that NoPing are going to be sort of okay with, as now Dark Mago's pushing for even more. Can Yonomi actually make his way out of this? He's looking for the teammate to come in as Mr. Jeans will TP himself forward. And now it's Dark Mago's turn to just sort of back himself away. He doesn't want to have to deal with both of those heroes, and maybe he won't have to. Yonomi? Careful on that drive-by. He's just going to go for the TP out now instead, but now Dark Mago got the stun onto Mr. Jeans. Matthew's in. They get the telekinesis, but there's going to be that disc coming into play. Mr. Jeans pops the BKB, and he should be just fine, but that honestly felt a little bit risky for NoPing. Maybe they could have made that play happen, but at least you put the Aeon Disc and the BKB on cooldown, so that Lina is not going to be nearly as comfortable the next time around.
And that's where, now that Aeon Disc is at its max cooldown, it matters so much more. It feels really bad to have this item cooling down in your inventory. Not nearly as good as it was in Yuma.
Gets the jump in. The Ravage is not going to hit onto the Leshrac, so Dark Mago may be able to get out, but that physical damage, look at it, it's just tanking him down, even with the Bloodstone active. It wasn't enough. Dark Mago's just popped, and he has buyback, so he can get himself back into this, and at this point, I don't really see a scenario where they get away with not using that buyback here. D2 Hustlers want in onto this high ground. I don't think they're going to be denied unless NoPing pull off some sort of incredible fight, but Yudomi, he's actually the one in first. That is going to force out the buyback. Dark Mago's in, the tier 3 tower will fall. But now D2 Hustlers not going to get too greedy. They took the tower, they forced a buyback. It's time to fall back.
And it is a little bit strange because Monster did preemptively pop that refresher, so you do want to stay in the vicinity here, as well as look at him posting up.
Oh, they popped Panda's ult, but they need, honestly, a more valuable target than just the ABBA. They're not going to get it, but now if you're NoPing, you know your opponents have sort of taken that forward position in your west side high ground. You are going to have to fight to reclaim that. And right now, I'm not really sure they want that fight. Instead, you see Dark Mago sort of pushing his way out towards the bottom lane. So they're going to avoid fighting directly into the teeth of that defense on the D2 Hustler side. Really just try and draw this out, maybe get a couple more items. The Arcane Blink was picked up recently by Dark Mago. Angel, I'm not really sure what else he could get for himself here. He's gone to pretty much the limits of what we normally see from the Luna, but still some room for improvement. But we are getting into late game territory here, 50 minutes in.
Yeah, the only thing he can really go for at this point is most likely that Ag's Refresher build, which would be really good, especially versus this Tidehunter. He would really struggle to get off that second barrage of spells, but that's where the Clinks definitely outdoes this Luna. Of course, the 20 and 25 being the Lunar Blessing damage and Global Lunar Blessing, which does help your teammates out a little bit, but you don't have a secondary damage or physical damage dealing core. So it doesn't really end up helping you nearly as much as just having another hero like this Luna, or rather this Lena Clinks duo core. You just feel so much more efficient.
What the hell is this? What is it? Look at the Clinks' HP bar right now.
Yeah, it's breaking.
It's not
Breaking
okay.
numbers.
That's just, that shouldn't be possible, but here we are. 6.3 KHP on the Clinks. He's hitting for, what, 600 or so? Just, honestly, a little bit dumb. So, if you go for Yuma, he's insanely tanky. If you go for Monster, he's insanely tanky. If you try to get the Lina, and maybe not as tanky as his teammates, but you have to get through the Andisk and the BKB and the Satanic, and how often do you get that kind of window when all of those items are down and the Lina is still in the line of fire? It's just so unbelievably difficult for NoPing, and at this point, you kind of see them shifting the strat a little bit. Angels has queued up a Rapier, so Rapier and maybe tier 5s might be the play for them, but before they get the chance, they're going to get jumped in on. Matthew locked down, Dark Mago dropping low, BKB coming out, not going to be enough, he will fall. Buyback had already been used in the previous fight. Matthew, though, does have his, so he's going to try and get back in there, but by the time he rejoins his teammates, they're gone. That's it. They're just all dead. The buybacks that are there are going to be thrown out, but it's just too late. GG called, and Dark Mago, unfortunately, just a bit too far out. Big play from Hustlers just to jump straight in for it, and that one kill opens the door for them to clean out the game.
I can't believe it's over, actually, in that way. You saw him trying to get that wave out, a wave that was already supers, so they didn't need to really push it out on their own unless there was an opponent already playing in that lane, but they give away their high ground. They absolutely give away what was very difficult for D2 Hustlers to inevitably push into. Just having that split earth on the ground already, that was a really strange way for that game to end. But I think it really comes back to bottom lane where they were finally able to take down Dark Mago for the first time. It was really just taking down Dark Mago and Oscar, and that forced this game into this very awkward situation where D2 Hustlers staggered the respawns for 3 minutes, and then suddenly Roche's respawned, they refocus over there, they take the fight, and then the game is out of NoPing's hand at that point. I think if NoPing really wanted to, they could have just played this more structured version of Dota that they were playing up until that 30-minute mark. They just stayed bottom for, again, a minute too long, and then D2 Hustlers spin the game in their favor and honestly take a really clean victory after that point, with some especially phenomenal play coming from Yudomi and Mr. Jeans. Those roles were actually so important for them to lock down in these fights, considering that you only have really Ravage to help you start off those engagements. Yudomi just kind of blew my mind there on this Pango.
Just sort of a tale of two halves, right? NoPing completely dominating the first half. We mentioned they went up 2 lanes of Rax, talked about how they can go low and slow, they can wait for the next Roche, they can afford to just sit this out, play methodically the way that we normally see from them, and close out the game, but that wasn't quite the case. They left the door open, and D2 Hustlers just absolutely destroy them in that second half. Really, it just felt like an entirely different team from D2 Hustlers. But this is a little bit of what we talked about way back in the draft, and you mentioned it, ET, repeatedly in this game. The fact that if it went late, you had Klinks and Lina, two heroes that dished out unbelievable amounts of physical damage. I actually want to take a look at the numbers. 79.5k for the Klinks, about 41,000 from the Lina. So from your 1 and 2 positions, if you can get that much damage over the course of these sort of late game team fights, you're going to win. And with NoPing, it was more and more obvious as the game went on that they were reliant on Angel, because Dark Mago really did not hit as consistently as he needed to.
Yeah, and we even see win probability. As soon as those 2 racks were taken, they thought it was over. They thought that they would really just go, and then that would be the end of the game. That was back when we were still thinking that there wouldn't be a Daedalus finished up on Yuma before the game would be over, but they throw away their opportunity, and they strike when the iron's hot, and Hustlers are actually able to take this game out from NoPing, a game that really I don't think anybody would have expected this outcome.
Yeah. Snatching a victory from the jaws of defeat there. It really did look like they were on their last legs, but that's the strength of this D2 Hustlers lineup. Asked at the top of the draft, what could we expect from this squad? I don't think anyone expected this, but now that we know that they're capable of it, that makes this second game all the more interesting. How do NoPing respond? They seemingly had it in the bag, and then things kind of slip away from them. So will we see a hangover from them after sort of dropping the ball here in game one, or is this the moment where they come back, they say, okay, we let our opponents sort of steal one away from us, now we're going to really sort of batten down the hatches and tighten up the execution? But that now shifts things to D2 Hustlers as well. We know that they are capable of really turning a game around, so it's not going to be quite as easy as maybe some people thought heading into this one. But either way, we'll be finding out in just a little bit. Game 2 should be getting started in just a few minutes now, so we are going to be stepping away for just a bit. But when we return, it'll be Game 2 between NoPing and D2 Hustlers. So stick around, and we'll be right back.